Well, hello again, my friends. Welcome back to Embrace the Question. It seems like I've been away for a while. I don't really think that I have. I think I'm only a day late on this video release, but it still seems like everything has just been a whirlwind. My home is still a bit under construction. You may hear some saws in the background. Yes, I'm having a room remodeled, and it's just taking a while. So that's always fun, isn't it? When you are down a room and you're already cramped. So that's my life this week and last week and the week before. But the end is in sight, and that is a good thing. We are going to get back into Bible study with me. We're doing Genesis chapter 33. Before I start, I want to make a general announcement here. One is, if you didn't know that I have an Embrace the Question Facebook page, I invite you to go check it out. It is facebook.com/embracetheq, all one word. Embrace the Question, I think, was already taken at the time, and this has been several years. So I went with Embrace the Q. You can put that in the search bar, and it should pop up Embrace the Question, and you'll find our website where everything is posted. Some of you have contacted me there through Messenger, and that's been awesome to get to talk to a few of you. I don't check Messenger every day, and those folks can testify to that. But I do get on occasionally and would love to hear from you. So also remember, check out the blog and check out the Patreon page, because Patreon has been a lot more stable for me than YouTube has. I don't know what's going on with the algorithms with YouTube, but they don't like me right now. And it could be because of the day late stuff. I just don't know. But they don't like me, and they are actually blocking some of my videos. So there's that. I'm getting frustrated with YouTube, but that's not a new thing. That's not something that just happens to me. So I know a lot of people are dealing with that, and YouTube itself is under some transition, and I'm hopeful that that's going to end up being a really good thing. Okay, let's take a look though at Genesis chapter 33, because we need to get back into this story of Jacob. Now, Jacob in Genesis 32 has found out that he's going to meet his brother Esau. Now, Jacob was just running from his mother's brother, Laban, when he left home. So he's departed secretly. Laban chases him, catches him. They don't see things eye to eye, but they do make a covenant, and they do leave on good terms. At least that's what it appears through the scriptures. Now, the next chapter, 32, we find Jacob is en route. He's going back home to Canaan. He gets his messengers that come up and say, your brother is just over the ridge. He's got 400 men with him. Jacob gets very frightened, as he should, because the last interaction he had with Esau was, I'm going to kill you, Jacob, because you cheated me out of my blessing. Well, here comes Jacob with his entire household, his wives, Rachel and Leah, their handmaidens, from which he's already had some sons. So he's got his family. He's got, I think, 11 sons at this point, from ages 6 to 23. I think maybe Reuben is around 23 by now. Maybe not. I may be off a few years on that. But he's got his whole household and lots of cattle, camels, goats, donkeys, sheep, all these things. Some of that could be construed by Esau as mine, right? Because Jacob, you cheated me out of my birthright. All of this wealth that I see, this belongs to me. Right? It could be that way. Jacob may be processing all of this in his mind and thinking, I'm just dead meat. Esau has 400 men with him. If I don't make things really good, this could end poorly. And he's forgetting the promises. Yes, sometimes we do that. We forget the promises of God when things get cloudy, stormy. We forget everything that's been prophesied to us and about us, and we just lose ourselves for a while. And Jacob did. At the end of that particular chapter, 32, he wrestles with God himself, and he names the place because he has seen the very face of God. And we're going to continue to see that language used in 33. All right, so let's see what happens, because this is a very short chapter compared to the last. Let's see. All right, here he has not met Esau yet, but he is about to. Verse 1, and Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau was coming, and 400 men with him. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and the 2 female servants, and he put the servants with their children in front, and Leah with her children, and Rachel and Joseph last of all. So there we go. He's had Joseph already. That is the 12th. He hasn't had, no, that's the 11th. He has not yet had Benjamin. Okay, we're not to that part of the story yet, so still 11 here. Verse 3, he himself went on before them, bowing himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And when Esau lifted up his eyes and saw the women and children, he said, "Who are these with you?" Jacob said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." All right, I want to stop. Let's take the five verse chunks here so that we can dissect this a little bit. This has to be a relief for Jacob because he was really sweating this meeting with Esau. Probably what he was not anticipating was an embrace and the 2 of them weeping for gladness for having not seen each other in these 20 plus years of being away. So it seems, from what I can see here, that the worst has blown over and Jacob just hasn't gotten a word from his mother. Or Esau is perhaps being deceiving. We don't really know. We don't really know what's going on here. We know that Esau is questioning the entire group, right? The entire multitude that is with Jacob. And you wonder, what does Esau see? He says, "I see that this multitude is with you." And you're wondering, does he think, wow, this should be mine? Or is he just happy to see his brother? I'm the kind of guy that likes to give the benefit of the doubt to everybody until otherwise proven. That's just me. But it still makes you wonder, and it's kind of our duty to wonder because of how their last meeting ended. So Jacob says something interesting here. He says, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." Why is that interesting? Because I think Jacob wants to make a statement here to Esau. Jacob still feels threatened. Esau is still with 400 men. So Jacob wants to relay this notion that God is with me. God has blessed me, and all that you see here is because of him. So you need to realize that I'm a blessed man and that God watches over me. It's kind of God has favored me and will continue to favor me. So it would do you well to favor me also, Esau. These are things that I'm thinking as I'm reading. All right, let's keep going. Verse 6. Then the servants drew near, they and their children, and bowed down. Leah likewise, with her children and her children, drew near and bowed down. And last, Joseph and Rachel drew near, and they bowed down. Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company that I met?" And Jacob answered, "To find favor in the sight of my Lord." But Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself." And Jacob said, "No, please, if I have found favor in your sight, then accept my present from my hand. For I have seen your face, which is like seeing the face of God, and you have accepted me." Okay, verse 10. Again, we see the language repeated. Jacob says, it's like seeing you is like seeing the face of God. Again, it seems to me that he's relaying a message to Esau. And that is, I have seen God face to face. You, my brother, remind me of him. I am very intimate with our Creator. Don't hurt me. There's just a lot hidden in the message, I believe. That's my take on this. A lot of what you're seeing here seems extremely gracious. Esau says, I have enough. You don't have to bring me all this. All of these, remember the groups that, it was like 5 groups that Jacob had sent in front of the entourage, just gifts, sheep, camels, donkeys, all of these things. And Esau, no doubt, was like, what? What's all this stuff? What? These are gifts from my brother? And there is a lot of Oriental custom going on here, which is, it's customary to refuse the gift at first. It's like, I have enough. You don't need to do that. And it's a very Oriental / Eastern thing, which is what we're talking about here. This culture. It's very customary to just be gracious and graciously decline, which is what we are seeing. And Jacob taking no for an answer, won't take no for an answer, says, no, but seeing your face is like seeing the face of God. So take this. This belongs to you. And I think ultimately Jacob is wanting to bury the hatchet with Esau. Look, I know I stole your blessing. I know that what I took from you, how I did it, was wrong. Even though God had it in his heart to bless me all along. How this went down, my involvement in that transaction was deceitful. And I want to make that up to you by sharing that blessing with you. I think that's pretty cool. And one of the reasons I think that's so cool is that is kind of the terms of the covenant that Abraham made way back when. 2 generations ago, when God makes a covenant with Abraham, it was to bless the world. And often we think that God wants to bless us because we are so great and we are so worthy of blessing. The truth is, God wants to bless us so that we can bless others. And I talk a lot about the blog, right? The blog is where you can support this ministry. Yesterday, I sent some money to the orphanage in Uganda that's talked about on that blog. And those guys were in a time crunch to open a school, to get their orphan school licensed with their government, or they're going to miss an entire academic year. So I helped them to fund that license because you guys support me. That's how I did it. That's why I did it. I don't have the funds in and of myself to just send them money. But because you guys support me through the blog and through YouTube and through Patreon and all the ways that you can support this ministry, I had enough to send. And that is attributed to you. That ends up being on your report, on your review. And someday God will see you face to face and say, you didn't even know what you were giving to. But I led you to give, and you gave, and because you gave, this nation was impacted. And that's what I see here. That is what I see happening. Jacob just wanting, he probably doesn't have the nations at heart. He's got his own well-being at heart. But he blesses Edom with an enormous amount of wealth here. I think that has generational consequences, generational blessing associated with it. It's pretty interesting stuff when you get into this this blessing other people. All right, let's go with verse 11. Please accept my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. Thus he urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, let us journey on our way, and I will go ahead of you. But Jacob said to him, my Lord knows that the children are frail, and that the nursing flocks and herds are a care to me. If they are driven hard for one day, all the flocks will die. Let my Lord pass on ahead of his servant, and I will lead on slowly, at the pace of the livestock that are ahead of me, and at the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord in Seir. So Esau said, let me leave with you some of the people who are with me. But he said, what need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord. All right, here's what's going on. Esau's wanting them to go to Edom with him, his land. Not Canaan, Edom. Seir is in Edom. So Esau is like, you follow me, we'll go ahead of you, you follow. And Jacob's like, we can't follow you at any great pace, or flocks or herds or children. They just won't survive if we try to keep up with you. We'll just follow slowly. Well, so Esau says, okay, I'll just leave a few men with you to make sure you're okay. I don't know what's going on here. It's like, I want you to settle in my land so that your wealth becomes my wealth. Again, I said I'm giving Esau the benefit of the doubt, but at this point, I'm doubting. I'm doubting Esau. And I'm also doubting Jacob, because Jacob's like, no need for that. We'll just go at our own pace. We'll catch up. Guess what? That's not going to happen. Jacob's just lied again. Jacob he can't seem to help himself. His new identity is Israel, but the deceiver is still at work. And so that's what we've got going on, and we will find out about the lie, I think, in the next chapter. But that's what we see happening. Esau's wanting his brother to follow him, and Jacob's making excuses not to do it. Let's keep going on verse 16. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. But Jacob journeyed to Succoth, or Sukkot. It's where we get the Feast of Sukkot, or booths, or shelters, because this is where he built himself a house or a shelter and made booths for his livestock. Okay, therefore the name of the place is called Sukkoth, or Sukkoth. That is it just means shelters or booths. And the reason for the feast is because it was a celebration that God is our shelter in the wilderness. That's what we find going on here, is Jacob is establishing a place called Sukkoth. And let's finish this up. Jacob, in verse 18, and Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, on his way from Padan Aram, that's Syria, and he camped before the city. And from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he bought for 100 pieces of money the piece of land on which he had pitched his tent. And there he erected an altar and called it El Elohe Israel, or El, the God of Israel. Okay, that's another ancient piece of language there. In the old texts, the word for God is typically El. That's why El is found in a lot of different words, usually prefixes, the beginning of the word. Found in a lot of pieces of language in all types of cultures. But El is God. You can think of it that way. El Shaddai, the God of. El, there's a lot of different words in the Hebrew where we can start naming the God of. So he erects one here, El Elohe Israel, El, the God of Israel. He's purchased this land from Hamor. Again, he's in Canaan. He's back home, but he's in Philistine country. And now we own our second piece of land outright in Canaan. That's kind of cool. We own it outright because we just paid money for it. Remember, Abraham had done the same. He bought the land that he buried Sarah on. Now we have another piece of land that's been purchased and belongs to Israel, not the Philistines. Okay? Interesting stuff. We're a larger landowner in the promised land. And he's in Shechem. He's in Shechem, in the land of Canaan. All right, well, that is the entirety of Genesis 33. We're at the next step, and let me tell you, the story of Israel, the story of Jacob, is just about to spice up even more because he's back home in the Philistine territory, and not everything is totally groovy there. There's going to be some hardships, and his sons and daughters, we're going to find, are not really the nicest people in the world. They're just not. So a lot of stuff's about to go down with the family that is Israel. Hope you're enjoying this. I am. This is fun. And we're still plowing through Genesis. We're making good headway. If you have comments, please leave them. I read them all. And I'm getting to where I can't respond to all of them, but I'm still trying. So please leave them. Again, visit the Facebook page, visit the blog, and I will respond to anything that you happen to write on there. And until next time, hope you have a blessed week. Peace.